world to this. But this is a build of a different kind, to be quite honest. This is a fantasy diorama build. It's not a book nook, it's bigger than a book nook, but it is a fantasy diorama. And what's kind of cool about this is an opportunity for me to bring my work and my hobby all together. For those of you who don't know, I am a partner in a small company called Capsule Education. Check us out, Facebook. I'm an ex-primary school teacher, and for the last 6-7 years I've worked as a writing consultant in schools. I visit schools all across England and help kids write stories, give them stories to write. And one of my writing projects is called Castle Courageous. Castle Courageous grew out of my desire to get kids to write fantasy stories. It's set in their own worlds rather than a given world like Middle Earth or the Warhammer world or whatever else. But the difficult thing is that kids find it difficult to understand fantasy and understand where these stories take place. So over the years, I've used a lot of models to help kids build the worlds in their mind. And we use 4.5, 5-inch tall figures as part of that. These are some of the models that I've used and made. I've been making these since 2009 was the first ones that I made for my classroom. This one here and this one, which are small, and they were kind of bookends to go on the shelves above my desk in my classroom. And then when I left work and started working for myself, I made all of these as well. There's castle drawbridges and a great hall, and there's a sewer. There's a couple of different kind of forest scenes. And then in the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years, we developed this story, and one of the things we do with the kids when we're in school on the day is we take one kid shopping to a place called Erasmus Explorers Emporium, which is your typical D&D-esque adventurers general store. It's run by Erasmus, played by my business partner, John. He does a very good grumpy old man. And the idea is that I, in this get-up, bring the kid into the store, and then we get them kitted up to go on an adventure. And 2 of the characters that I now have, which I made these on Hero Forge some time ago, are Erasmus and myself at the scale that all the other figures are at. I thought what would be cool would be to make the inside of Erasmus' Emporium, which is what I'm going to do. Now, the problem with all of those models I showed you earlier, apart from the really big one, the street, which goes in a huge flight case, the rest are all in individual foam core boxes in all different sizes. And they're a pain in the bum to transport and store. So all the models I make from now on for work, and I'm going to make a series of sci-fi stuff, are going to go in different size, really useful crates. And this is a 6-litre really useful crate, no, 9-litre really useful crate, which I'm going to build this store in. So it's going to be foam core and balsa, and then all kinds of bits and pieces, bigger scale cack that is going to be in there to make a D&D adventurers emporium, which is going to be kind of cool. So Erasmus has got to fit in there, I've got to fit in there, and then we've got to fit a whole bunch of kit hanging on the walls and piles and sacks and all kinds of things. So it's going to be a bit of fun. It's going to be a detailed model. I want this deep model to be detailed to the point that it would stand up to really close photography or filming, because who knows what we might do with it in the future, because my company now is becoming a TV production company. We're making schools TV. If you'd like to know more about our schools TV side of things, if you're a teacher, if you work in the education sector, if you have friends who work in the education sector, come and tell us to check us out at Time Capsule Video, which is the Facebook page for that bit as well, or at Time Capsule Education at Time Capsule Ed. Anyway, I'm going to get on with this. I don't really have much of a plan, apart from the fact that it's going to go in here. I've already cut one bit of foam core, which is going to make the floor, so I can have a trapdoor, raise it up. It needs a counter. I'd like to have the front door, a bit of sloping roof, and it needs to be a bit kind of run down and random and higgledy-piggledy, because it's supposed to be piled up and full of junk. So that's what we're going to go for. So wish me luck. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fit a floor to this. I've already measured one piece of foam core. I'm going to put some inch risers underneath it and put another one underneath so it stands up in the box a little. And then I'm going to think about making end walls and a wall here and a bit of a roof. All right, that's the first bit of the plan. check this out when I've cut out some foam core. Okay, so I made a tray out of foam core. It's glued and pinned with flat-headed dressmaking pins. And I'm going to put a couple more supports in here. It doesn't really matter too much. And then I'm going to glue this top bit onto and made a rectangular box. Well done me. That's going to go into the bottom of the box. The idea of the box is going to be that they're going to be transport, and also, if necessary, a great way to actually just display the whole thing. I could just take the lid off and job done. So that fits nicely inside that. And then I'm going to have to work out a wall at each end. I think I want the start of a gabled roof, because that'll be an interesting shape, and the wall across the back here with a doorway, which could be fairly low. The floor then will have to have a balsa floor put on it, or so wooden floor, which will be the next bit. So walls, back wall, think about a roof. Easy peasy. Alexa, play. Right, and this is the back wall. This thing's have a door outside. I can't like the idea of having a bit of a stable door kind of thing in it. I need to place a figure on it to give me roughly the right height. It's going to be on some balsa, and I don't mind if the door is only a little bit above his head. So fancy the door right in the middle of the wall, or mostly in the middle of the wall, and I think I'm going to make it probably 3 inches is a bit wide, really, because it's not very tall, but 2 inches a bit too thin, so about 2.5 inches wide. Or if we've got kids who are doing the project watching this, right, let's make it, I'll tell you what, I'm going to make it 6 centimetres wide. How about that? Let's get all metric. Yeah, 6 centimetres. That'll do. Fairly thin. Yeah, 6.5, 7 centimetres. No, 7 centimetres needed. Right, okay, 6 centimetres wide. What I'm going to do is going to cut out the hole that the door's going to fit in, and then I'm going to make a wooden balsa wood door that's going to fit in that. So actually, I'm going to make the whole thing 7 centimetres wide, because that will then allow for balsa trim. And then that being the case, door's going to go in the middle. I think it'll be appropriate to have 2 windows. They'll be cool if they're different sizes, but they're going to run to the same height as the door. So in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this level. Now that I haven't measured that top level. I've literally just taken that as a rough thing off the head of the figure. So they're going to be underneath there, but I think we're going to have a fairly thin window at one end. One end of this is going to have the shop counter, I think. So we're going to have a fairly thin window here. 7 centimetres deep. We're going to make it about 4 centimetres wide. Again, that will allow for wooden trim of the wooden trim that's going to go into the window itself. Say 7 centimetres deep, better than 7 centimetres at all. 7 centimetres from the top of the carpet. Close enough. Fairly thin window there. I like the idea of them being fairly grimy. In fact, I am going to drop that down from the top. It's not going to be in line with the door. That's going to be too neat. So let's drop that in now. Okay, so here's the backboard. It's not stuck on. It's just stood up. Beam in there. Then frame in the doorway. Thin, what's that, 2mm thick balsa stuck on the whole thing. Next thing is to draw in loads of vertical planks, rough them up a bit, and then put window frames into those. And then it will be similar. Do wooden planking on each end wall section, and I can stick all that together, and then that will assemble onto the here. Put the floor on, which is also going to be balsa wood. Pretty straightforward model so far. Most of the complex bit of this is going to be in the detailing and putting stuff on it. Okay, so I'm making good progress here. This is now the back wall. I've got planks drawn in. The next job is to draw in horizontal lines to break up the planks and put in nail heads. And I've started to make the windows. I need some cross pieces on the windows. on both sides, and they're going to end up being grimy and grubby and horrible. And I put a door in there, which again I need to actually do the detailing on, and I put planks onto the two end walls, which I now also need to put the horizontal planks into and detail all that. But this is the step-by-step wood. So this is 2mm balsa wood on here, several different types of balsa on here, and I've got to also then do the floor, which still looks like that. Coming on though. Alright, this is the stage I'm at. Look, I now have, I've got to pull out from this. There is my shop. Well, part of it. Enough of it is going to go into the box. Hang on, so let's find the box. Damn. We have an issue. Houston, we have a problem. It doesn't fit inside the box. It's wide enough, but it's too tall. Rats! I'm going to go. Oh, look, I don't know if you can see that. That is the box. That is the bit. It's too big to go in the box. I'm going to have to cut all this top. I'm going to have to cut about 5 mils off here. Oh, blast. Oh, well, here we go. It was looking so good, too. Okay, so here we go. It now fits inside the box. Clever me. Yay! Let's cut loads down. Now, it still needs a roof. It's too damn light here. It's going to need a roof. There's loads of detailing to go in here. So from that point of view, it's very light in this room. You might be able to see through the back of the box. No, you can't. Now, my initial thought was to actually have this so it could sit in the box and you'll be able to look at the other side as well, but you're not going to be able to. So. I have detailed the outside, the streak side of this with a couple of windows. They're going to need glazing because I want them to be grimy and horrible and dirty, so you can't really see them. I need some cobbles out here and stuff. I'm not sure if I'm going to bother doing anything on the ends. I might just black those out because they're not really. It's not really important that they fit in the box as nicely as they are. Although I do need to do something with the kind of like the end trim, another bit of balsa or something overlaying on both sides. I think would work. But yeah, otherwise it's coming on nicely. Plenty of room inside for the two characters to stand. I've got to decide which end I want Erasmus to be. I think probably at this end because the figure will stand in the box better that way round. And then I've got to be able to pile up loads of stuff. So the detailing in this model and finding all the stuff, digging through the cack is going to be a laugh. The problem is they fit quite well. But the great big bases that these Hero Forge figures come on, because this is like a 12cm tall model, the base is huge. Which is a bit problematic, but we'll see. If I'm going to pile up stuff around the sides, and I'll put a shop counter in here maybe. Hang stuff on the walls. Yeah, let's see what that's like in a little while. Right, so here is where we got to with the model. Woohoo! So interior done, all the balsa, all carved. I put a bit of balsa frontage on the front here just to trim it, make it look nice. Now I've got to get on with adding the detail to this model. Now remember, we've got me, the wizard, and we've got Erasmus, the shopkeeper, but we need a counter and all the stuff that Erasmus is selling in his store. So for the uninitiated of you, those of you who have only just found this channel will never seen me make a model before. At this point, often in one of my videos, I have to go looking for all the stuff that we're going to add the detail to. And there might be modelers out there who keep absolutely everything super organised in tiny little kind of like containers and drawers and everything else. But most of us, I think, in the modelling the world, have just big boxes of cack. Boxes of all kinds of things, because we don't throw things away, because one day they're going to come in useful. And that is very much the case with me. I have boxes and drawers and drawers and boxes. Some of it kind of organised and some of it not. And it is this point often in my videos when I have to go digging through the cack. Digging through the cack, we're going to go and find those details. So different to most of my digging through the cack, because normally I'm digging into cack to find tiny little details for little wargaming figures. This is slightly different, but I do have other cack contained. So it's can we see it up here? There's a set of drawers, wooden drawers over here. Some of these have got larger scale cacking. That's where we're going to go digging right now. going to go diving into some of these drawers and seeing what we can find. We need weapons, we need shields, all sorts of bits and pieces. Some of these toys, the Papa and Schleich toys that I've had, that I use, have come apart over the years, and shields and swords and things have come off them, and I've kept those. And often I use Playmobil things as well. So let's go and have a look in the drawers of CAC and see what we can find. I'll be right back. Alright, this is a typical CAC box. This is big scale CAC. And obviously I've kept things over the years from different toys and things that, yeah, because most modelers will find themselves saying, oh, one day that would be really useful. And there are all sorts of things that fall in here that shouldn't be in here. I mean, what we got, there's bits of Doctor Who sonic screwdriver. Not much use here right now, but that's handy. That's a kind of like a weapon of some description, kind of spear, pole arm type thing, whatever that. There's a pirate's head. Yeah, don't know where we can see that. Can we see that? Yeah, that's a pirate's head. Not much use, although I could have his hat off, I suppose. What else we got in here? Rooting around. Oh, there's a whacking great big sabry swordy thing. That'll do. That's the kind of thing I want in this shop. Knives. Yeah, we could even have. I don't even know where some of this stuff comes from. There's a little carrot. Look. Erasmus could have some carrots hanging up. He is the only shop in the village, so from that point of view, that might be quite good. There are food stuffs that he could be selling. There's a little some loaves of bread, kind of handy. They might be going mouldy in a corner. Erasmus is that kind of guy. He's got all kinds of stuff. Oh, there's actually a basket that we could have vegetables and things. More weapons needed. There's a big hammer, warhammery kind of thing. Kind of doing all right. Now, when we do this stuff in school, we have very specific things. We show the kids crossbows and longbows, and let's put that away, and that kind of thing, because we like to. When we do this in school, we do introduce the kids to various things like crossbows and longbows and shields and helmets and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to take a Schleich figure like this one and chop it up for its component parts. It's got a longbow, it's got a quiver of arrows. If I cut off his legs at the boots, so I've got his boots, I'll take the helmet and I'll cut the head out of that, so then there's just a helmet that's on the side. And some people think, oh, that's a waste of a model because it costs £4 or £5. But this is for work. I'm happy to invest that kind of money into these models so they have got as much detail as we possibly can. Here's another one which has got a crossbowman where he's got a sword hanging at his waist and a cranaquin for hauling on the crossbow bolt, which on the crossbow to load it, which is kind of neat. I'll have to carve the crossbow out of there, but that's all right. I'm sure this big Pavise shield will come off the back. And again, he's got a different helmet, so we could have that helmet cut out and I could try and carve that out, and they could just be sat on a shelf. So that's going to offer me loads of opportunity for detail. So I've got quite a few bits. Having dug around, I've found, yeah, look, what else we got in here? There's a shield with fleur-de-lis on, that's quite nice. There we are, do that like that. And we've got, there's a bucket and there's some swords and there's stuff, and I'm going to keep looking around about the place. I've got over here there are a couple of Playmobil kind of crates that will look good stuck in a corner, maybe piled up on top of each other with something on top of it. I want to try and get as much stuff into this model as I can, loads of detail, so that it's possible to for the viewer, the kids in school, to spend ages looking at it and picking out all the little details and try and see the things that they see when we do the stuff in school. So there needs to be a box of potions and a map and some rope and all sorts of other bits and pieces. And I want it to really have this kind of like piled up junk shop kind of feel to it. So I'm going to carry on digging through the CAC, and then we're going to chop up these figures, and we're going to see what we can come up with. And then we get the good bit, which is the kind of like placing it all in and working out where it's all going to go. Although these things are already painted to an extent, these figures kind of come painted, I am probably going to repaint the various objects that get put in there. Apart from anything else, with things like this crossbow on this soldier, by the time I've carved all the hands and everything else off, there'll be loads of bare plastic, so that will need painting up. But I want to add as much realistic colour as I can to these things. And again, the same with this thing here. I'm going to have to cut this, take this bow and trim down the hands so the handle was there, so that's going to need painting. Take this string off because that won't be any good being strung in the shop, but we'll put a string on it as well, so it's kind of like lit up in the corner or whatever. So yeah, there's going to be a little bit of fiddle faddling now, but it's going to be quite cool. This is going to be a really nice little model. Of course, the other thing I do need to do in here is make the roof. And I've got to put detailing on the outside. There's got to be kind of like a few paving stones and then flock and various other bits and pieces. But it's supposed to be in the snow as well. It might end up with snow on the outside too. Still, all good fun. Right, before I go sticking anything in here, I've got a couple of other bits of structural stuff to do by the looks of things. I'm going to put this roof on, the bit of roof here, because that'll be easier before I get loads of stuff stuck in here. And I did talk at the beginning of this video about having a fireplace. Now, there's no way I could get a whole fireplace in, but I think I'm going to build kind of half a fireplace. Might be quite a neat thing to do. So I might put half a fireplace in here out of XPS foam. Gonna have a go at cutting that out and seeing what that looks like. If it looks stupid, I won't do it, but we'll give it a go. First of all, though, cardboard in here to make the roof, and then it'll have a couple of wooden beams to support it, which will mostly be aesthetically pleasing, but not structurally necessary. And then on the outside of that, that will have tiles, so that will all kind of look right. Yeah, where are you coming on? That's the next plan then. Let's find some cardboard. Make a roof. Right, so I've made an XPS foam, used 25mm thick XPS foam to make a chimney that's going to go in here. It's kind of like half a chimney really, which is a bit weird, but it will help to kind of like add flavour to the room, I think. Failed using my normal technique because there's no tin foil in the house. So this has been rough sanded to give a bit of texture, and then I've drawn in all the brickwork with a pencil, and oh, just noticed a missing line. And now I'm going to use obviously this is polystyrene, so you can't stick this in with the Yoo-hoo that I'm using, so I'm going to use Gorilla Wood Glue. Apply it to the back. This stuff you get an absolutely terrific bond with, as long as I can get some out of the bottle, that is. I'll talk quietly amongst yourself while I do this bit. Here we go. Gorilla Wood Glue up and down the back of that, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to leave it to dry for a few minutes, let the glue start to go off, because that way it will bond quicker. So I'm going to put that to one side, and I'm going to think about the tiles on the outside of the roof. Okay, so the roof is now tiled. I don't know how you can see that. Is it too light in here? And the inside, let's bring that over here. Right, here's the roof now. You can see all the tiles on there, and the chimney is in place. Next job, if I spray this right now to undercoat it, which is what I normally use, it will damage all the foam that the chimney's made out of. So I've got to seal the chimney. I'm going to do that. I'm going to use Mod Podge, one of my favourite glue products. I'm just going to give the whole thing a coat of Mod Podge, which will dry, and then on the outside I want some texture. On the outside here, I'll put some sand on the base as well, and the texture I'm going to use is I'm going to mix a bunch of small amount of plaster of Paris polyphilic stuff into some Mod Podge, which will give it a bit of texture, and that will then go onto the walls, and it'll be like wattle and daub or plaster or lime rendering or whatever. So those are the next two jobs. Then I'm going to take my box of cack and go and spray it all, because although a lot of it is kind of like toys that comes kind of, you know, mostly painted, they are not as well coloured and painted and carefully as I'd like them to be. I want to be as realistic as I can, so I'm going to go spray those and start painting a whole bunch of different things, so I can then start to assemble and stick stuff inside the building. But the building needs to be finished and painted first. So seal the chimney, texture the outside of the building, do the sand down here, I think I'm just going to go with blank black ends here at both ends. It fits so tight into the box that I haven't really got space to put anything on the outside, so I think I might just go with straightforward black ends here on either end, because that's not what we're focusing on. We've got a bit of outside, we've got a bit of inside. Right, good. Okay, let's crack on. This is coming on kind of nicely. It needs a bit of detail. I've got to decide. Look over here on the shelves. I've got to have a number of different medieval helmets in there. Do I slip in a stormtrooper helmet for laugh? Could be good fun. It needs some washes, and I've started to build in the collage. Nothing is stuck in yet. I've started to think about where crates and things are going to go, and then I'm doing this massive job of painting all the different bits and pieces that is going to be in there. Hanks of rope hanging on the wall. I'm going to have a pile of boots in the corner, which are going to be quite neat. Shields hanging on the wall or piled in the corner. A variety of different weapons. Various adventurer kit. You know, I want this to look like, the aim of this is to make it look like that shop, or what that shop would look like in the Dungeons and Dragons kind of like Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. You name the fantasy roleplay system, kind of like Emporium shop, where you go and buy all your stuff with your hard-earned gold coins. Although, yeah, well, that's kind of it really. So, yeah, I'm everything is getting dry brush brown. To start off with, different version, different types of brown. Oh, there's another boot there. Not all of them though, because these big bucket boots are going to stay black. But yeah, boots and shoes, that kind of thing. I'm hoping this is going to look really neat. It's going to be like just a general pile of piling up junk all around about the place. Going to be kind of cool. Yeah, so dry brush some vegetables, and then some bread and baskets and little bags. These are quite nice. Look, I've made these two little bags. They were Playmobil money bags that have had bits cut out and stuck and changed and removed, and the rest of it. They're going to be different colours. They're going to be sat there. Yeah, there's bow and arrows and a lantern and all kinds of stuff. It's going to be neat. It's just a bit tiresome because there's tons and tons of it. But that's the whole point. I want it to all be piled up. So, however, most of it, well, I say however, most of it. Of course, the other thing is that I want it all to be, there's a bit we go, oh, I could just dry brush it real quick. And the problem with that is the fact that I actually want it to look, I want to be able to film really up close with this and provide video footage of it so it actually looks like a place where, you know, kids could, it could be on telly, kids could help, it could help kids imagine what on earth is, you know, that setting. It needs to be as real as possible, look as less like a model, which is actually a challenge for me because I actually think my painting is really up to that. Yeah, again, this is where I could really do with it. Somebody who wants to paint stuff for me, do a better job. When my TV company is huge and when I'm a millionaire, I'm going to employ some really good painters to paint my stuff for me. That kind of thing. Although I'm still going to insist on making the scenery. Somebody else can do the dull bit, which is the painting. You know, they can paint all the miniatures for me, and then I can assemble it in a way that I want it to look, and that'll be cool. That will speed up video production as well. Hey ho. Right, anyway, let's get back to the painting. I got bored painting. I got bored painting all the tiny little fiddly bits. But what I have done, let's just get this back out of the box. So I've done a bunch of better weathering on here so it looks more manky and horrible inside. I've also started painting up the front as well. This needs to be painted cream, any sand on here, that needs to be painted. It's going to go kind of white, and then it's going to have to get dirtied up. And because I got bored of doing all those things, I also thought I'd take a moment to go sit on my computer and print some signs. In Erasmus Emporium, when we do this in school, we have 2 or 3 signs that are on the wall. We have one that says Erasmus Emporium. This one says the gags for kids, right? And see if the kids actually get it or not. So we all would like to have a row. This one says, this week's special offer, buy one, get one. And then we have a row about not using the F word, saying things are free. We also have Why Not Try Dr. Napalm's anti-immolation tincture. That's going to go on the back. And this one says at the moment, shoplifters will be eaten. Our actual sign says shoplifters will be, and then we don't know what the rest says. And I've never written it before, but I had to think, I thought it was something, so eating is what it's going to be. So I'm going to cut those out and weather those a bit, stick those on the wall in the background. There's no way you're going to see this, or you might see bits of that. That is a tiny piece of plastic from a blister figure blister, you know, piece of plastic packaging, which I've already cut one out. I don't normally glaze models, but actually you can see already, I think, I hope you can see there, catch the light, I've put a glazing in this window. And the reason why I've done that is because, I'm going to stick this on the other one, I'm going to cut these to shape. The reason why I'm doing this is because, again, I want to sell the griminess of the whole situation. Now, what I haven't done is done the window properly with each individual square, you know, in it, because that would just be ridiculous. So what I've done is I'm putting the window pane on the inside of the balsa. When I'm sure it's dry, and the only problem, of course, with a clear piece of plastic on a workbench is you put it down, you pick and well lose it, don't you? There it is. I will probably paint the window frame onto the window, maybe, but what I'm doing more than anything else is I want to be able to have grimy, dirty windows. So I've got this mental image of the two characters approaching the store, and the first thing they do before they go in, so they kind of like look up, spot the sign, see it says Erasmus Emporium, and then I like the idea of them staring, smudging and cleaning through the windows, you know. So I want to have grimy, dirty windows basically on this model. Well, the good thing about that is the fact that, well, so I'm using super glue to stick that on, and that doesn't even matter if it makes the window dirty, because that's the kind of whole point. So, oh yeah, look, I've glazed my windows, both sides, going to let them go off, and then we can make those nice and grimy and horrible. They will look a bit shonky, even if there's a tiny little gap at the bottom. Again, that all adds to the authenticity. Hurrah! I've started to stick bits in now. Look, there I've stuck my posters in. I've stuck a lantern hanging on a hook and a lump of rope over there by the window. I'm going to start adding things now, because then I'll be able to work out how many more other things that I need to paint and stick together. And I want the whole thing to have a cluttered, piled up, like I said, higgledy-piggledy vibe. I hope you like that word, especially if you're across the pond in America. Do you have a phrase like higgledy-piggledy? All piled up and ready to fall over. Yeah, I want this kind of like jumbled kind of like look, but I don't want to have so much stuff that I can't put the figures in it. It completely clogs the whole thing up. So it's a real balancing act. So I think right now my best plan is to stick in some of the stuff I've got, and then that way there I know how much more I need to do. Otherwise I could be painting tiny little things forever and a day, frankly. And actually you know, I've got other things I want to do. I want to get finished. I've got other models I need to make. So yeah, it's all important. And I lost my small paintbrush, which could be described as a bit of a disaster. Oh bugger. Especially when I'm painting tiny little gold buttons on a coat that's hanging up on the back of this chair. Oh well. Okay, this is where I've got to so far. I've got more stuff to go in, but so it's taking me in Erasmus out. So we started sticking bits in. Pile of boots down here by the fireplace, and a chair with a jacket on the back of it, and some pole arms in this corner, a barrel with a knife on it, and a shield scuffed up down there with a sack on the floor. And then this corner, kind of cool. Check all that stuff out there. Helmets up on the shelf, and food in a basket. Blades and bows and things, and another shield and little Easter egg down the corner. Yeah, I got there's other stuff that I'm definitely going to pile up in here. I haven't done the outside at all. And actually what's cool is where the super glue has reacted, it's gone all manky and horrible on the windows, which is great because I've got to paint that and put some ink washes on there, and that will really help to make those windows, they look really grimy from the outside. It's kind of neat. Erasmus was stand thus, looking at the pile of coins in his hand, and my character, the wizard, the not wizard, stands facing him. It's all looking pretty neat. So I want to pile more stuff in the corners. There's more space. I've got space up here on the wall as well. I don't know what I'm going to put up here. Probably up here as well. Still got some more stuff though. There's a couple of shields. I've got swords. Another mace. I've got there's a book. Yeah, I've got other bits and pieces that I can still do, which actually is great, but a bit of a pain in the bum at the same time because I thought I was kind of done, but I'm not. But again, I will carry on digging through the cack and find out other bits and pieces, which is kind of cool. I'll see what else I can find, just to pile up smaller barrels that could sit up on the shelf, or another helmet, or those kind of things. It's going to be a really, really nice model though. I'm liking this a lot. It's a long time since I made a model for this particular thing for work, and this one is really going to help take the level of detail up. I want to get to the point where we can get really close in on this. We can get really close in on this when we're doing our writing stuff. It's kind of neat. I like it a lot. I'm going to keep going. Here we go, done. Painted the outside, done more to the outside. Actually, I say done, but it really needs a door handle. I've got to find something to make a door handle. It's beginning to annoy me. But aside from that, where are we? Look, flock, tufts, weathered walls, shop sign, Erasmus's Emporium up there. And then on the inside, here we are. This is the finished model. I'm really very happy with this. Loads and loads of adventurers junk. This is very much based on all those kind of like shops that must get represented by getting equipped in Dungeons and Dragons and Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay and any other fantasy roleplay system you can think of. So in here we've got armour and helmets and weapons and adventurous equipment like lanterns and bundles of rope and all kinds of things. It's kind of random and piled up. Let's take a closer look. Over here we have helmets on shelves and a quiver of arrows and a bow and the odd shield and food and supplies in baskets and bags and pans and bundles of rope. All the kinds of things an adventurer needs to take on a journey. Random weapons piled up. Across the shop then, a number of important signs put up by the shop owner at one point or another. These all appear when we're doing this in school. We've got a big version of these and I had to replicate them. This one always causes issues with kids. They don't get the gag. Again, over this side, piles and piles of rubbish, a crossbow and a cranaquin, shields and swords and pole arms stuck in the corner, and a random basket of boots that might fit, and dirty, filthy windows to go staring through. And actually one of my favourite features of this model is this half chimney. When I'm working with kids in schools and talking to them about art projects and drawing and that kind of thing, I like to try not to fit everything onto a piece of paper. The temptation to make the whole fireplace was really, really there. But actually it's much better to only have a bit. It really suggests that the building carries on a little bit. Obviously, there is more space here in the floor than I would actually want in the actual real thing. If it was a movie set, I wanted to be more cluttered. But the figures printed from Hero Forge, I've got quite large bases and I want to be able to place them in and give plenty of room around them. So there is the hero. Well, he's not the hero. He finds the kid. The kid is the hero in the story, but this guy
finds the kid. I play this character when we're in school, and my business partner John is Erasmus, the miserable, miserly shopkeeper, who apparently my character owes money to all the time. It's a lovely model. It would work quite well as a book nook, I suppose, on the right kind of bookshelf. It's quite wide. There's an awful lot of books you wouldn't be able to get on your bookshelf because you've got this kind of like cool shop instead. As for finishing it, well, I'm kind of like mainly going with just this kind of wooden look on the outside. The ends need a new coat of black paint just to neaten them up, and then round the front, here we are. Like I said, I need a shop window, a door handle really, something on the door, but the tiles work really nicely and the shop sign's good, and the weathering is dreary and horrible on the outside of the building. For a simple model, it's taken a reasonable amount of time. I often get asked by kids in school how long these models take. Well, the video here is evidence of that itself. Not that long. Actually, the longest thing I had to do with this, of course, is paint all the bits of equipment. And give them a better going over, but I'm really happy with this. I like the actual background, the way the wood's worn, different washes has given it kind of like a grimy look. So that's pretty cool. Of course, part of the brief of making this model is the fact that I have a whole series of models I've made previously that I've had to make foam core boxes for that are knackered. So this is kind of cool because it's designed to fit into a small, really useful crate. It could even be displayed in that, although you can't really see and appreciate the back side particularly well, so it's much better if it comes out of that, but it does mean that it can go in there really nicely. The figures would have to be stored separately because they're not stuck in, but yeah, it's quite neat. It's definitely given me a way forward. I can make more of these. I think it's really cool. I'm really excited to get this one out when we go and do our writing project Castle Courageous again, because this will be a completely brand new model. It looks smashing. A different kind of build for me. This is the fantasy book nook, Erasmus's Emporium. Well, more a diorama than a book nook. You'd have to have a really expansive set of bookshelves if you've got space for book nooks this wide. But there's tons and tons of detail in this. I haven't bothered lighting this one. I was thinking about how I could put lighting in here, but it really isn't necessary. And anyway, it's supposed to be a dingy scene, so I didn't really want lots and lots of light. I can't wait to get this in front of school kids and to help just kind of push that imagination, trigger that imagination, get them talking about a place where a story can take place. That's what I do. My job is all about helping kids write. I build worlds for fun for tabletop wargaming, and I help other people build worlds for stories and story writing, which is pretty cool, and I've been doing that for several years now. So I hope you enjoyed this different build. Different for several reasons. I don't often do book nooks and this kind of thing, and certainly not in this scale. This is 1/12 scale roughly. The figures are about 5 inches tall, so that's quite big. Normally my stuff is much smaller, so from that point of view I've had quite a lot of fun. It's better for my eyes painting bigger figures. But yeah, it's been good fun making this one, and I am definitely going to make some more. So if this is what you're here for, go and check out my other book nook builds, and hang around, because I'm going to make some more, probably some more fantasy scenes to help set the scene for some of our other characters that we've got in our story, and also some science fiction stuff coming as well. Non-specific, come on, generic sci-fi, our own sci-fi, rather than Star Wars or 40k or that kind of thing. If you're just watching this because you watch everything else on my channel, thanks very much for watching. If you're watching this because you're brand new to my channel, you're only here for the book nooks, then that's great too. Go check them out. Click like and subscribe, either way. And if you'd like to support me make more of these models, in some cases help me fund buying all the little quirky bits off eBay that I want to fill these models, then you can try my Patreon page. Join me at patreon.com//Maggotheo Builder Worlds. And for the price of a cup of coffee, you can help support this channel. And then every now and then, about 3 times a year, I have a competition where patrons can enter it and give me a suggestion for a model they would like made, or maybe a book nook they would like made instead of just a regular kind of tabletop wargaming piece of scenery. A book nook will be a really cool Patreon build as well. So please do go and check that out. I'll be very grateful. Otherwise,
What's next? Probably a B&B Patreon build. In fact, Burrows and Badgers Bank that needs to be built so it can be broken into and raided. And then more Star Wars and more of these things yet to come. So, thanks very much for watching Magathea Builder Worlds. I will see you next time. Going over here now. Check it out. That's me, that is. Look, that's me. Well, kind of me. Look, it's me. Look, there I am. Look, it's me. And you might never have met him before, but this is John. Here he is. He looks just like that. He's more cheerful than this guy. Sometimes. Anyway, time to go now. See you next time. Bye.